Hi guys, Ken Coleman from Ireland here again with my 15.6-inch XPPen, and I hope you've been enjoying the tutorials so far. Here to show off my favourite toy that I use for all my work at the moment, and let's go crack on with the tutorial. Hi everyone, this is Ken here again, and we're about to do another very easy starting video for ZBrush, getting used to the interface. And now, as you can see, we're on ZBrush 2020, which just got released. So we're going to start into some basics again with a couple of reminders of the last techniques we went through, and looking at some new techniques and basic tools that are very commonly used in ZBrush. Okay, so this is 2020. Now, I'm going to start again in 2020, but this time I'm going to maybe use a full body just to start. Now, I want to show you some of the differences in the new technology. Okay, so we have this new little silhouette tool here. So if we draw anywhere on our object, it'll show up. So if I was to go back in and find one of our kind of wiring tools, or this tool which I love using, which is for creating hoses, this mesh multiple subdivision, delete or freeze. Okay, so that means go to geometry, delete my lower ones, and now you see in my subtool here, sorry, my silhouette window, I've created some very interesting shapes. Now, I can rotate on the screen as normal. Actually, let me just change my material again to a different clay so I can see better. Maybe this one. Okay. And as you can see, some of them are dark because they're still masked. So if I wanted to change that, I can press Control on my keyboard and select anywhere outside, and the mask turns off. Okay. So this is the demo man, which you will find in the drop down menu for projects. Again, by pressing comma on your keyboard. Another way we can rotate the screen now is by actually clicking with the head. This head will let us rotate the model, okay, to the different planes. I'm going to just drag back up the silhouette because I don't really need it to be too big. Now you'll notice with the demo man here, this is a great project file for practicing your subtools. You can see that this area is dark, and some of my one of my layers here, my tools, has broken through. That's because I'm using the man himself, and the sculpting has broken through, the mesh has broken through the shirt. So if I turn off the shirt and the overshirts, you can see what has happened, right? So I have all of these subtools that I can turn on and off just to practice what subtools to use. And as the man, you can see, it's quite pixelated. It's a very low poly mesh. So what I'm going to do with him is I go select on that layer, on that tool. Sorry, I constantly use the term layers because I've been so used to Photoshop. Now if I divide it, it'll start to smooth out. I have more polygons. But my count has now gone up to 4.426 MP. So that is millions of polygons. So it's quite large. So we're going to go back. I'm going to slide down to subdivision 2, which is only at 1. I'm going to delete lower, delete higher, and I'm going to stay at that subdivision for sculpting for now. Okay. So that's that was just an exercise so you can see how the silhouette tool works and how the new planes tool works. Okay. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press comma. I'm going to open my project files again. I'm going to go back to demo soldier, the same one, but I'm not going to save where I was. So I basically get a reset of what I was working on. Press frame so I can see it. Okay. And here we have our demo man. And he is wearing clothes. So we can turn those on and off. It's kind of like one of those paper kits that when I grew up you could make a soldier with all these different paper clothes that had tabs you could put on. And this is like the digital Kitbash version of the same idea. That's what's great about ZBrush, is all these tools are there for you to practice with so you can get used to the software. Now if I wanted to just work on this character alone and I didn't want any of those clothes Let me just divide it again one more time so it's a bit of a better mesh. So divide, delete lower, divide, a bit more smooth, divide again. Okay, I'm going to delete the lowers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Subtool. I'm going to press Merge. Merge down. Okay. That's not exactly what I wanted to do. I'm actually going to delete the other subtools because I don't want to use them. So I'm going to go in here and go delete and press always OK. That means it keep deleting subtools I'm not using. So we're just going to use this demo man on his own. You just got to be careful because if you accidentally delete a subtool here, it's gone. Okay. Sometimes in ZBrush you have to be very aware that some stuff is not undoable. You can't just like press back and undo just like you do in Photoshop, okay? And here again we have a slider bar for history. It's great, just like the last one, but it's a bit more visible now, okay? So what tools will we play with today? Okay, so we've gone through clay build-up and we have axial symmetry already on. So there's clay build-up for sculpting onto our character. So we could sculpt in like muscle areas, or we could sculpt on armor. As you can see, it's breaking up quite a lot, so we'd have to divide our model again. We'll go back into the geometry folder and press divide. You can see it a bit better. Dividing takes just a bit of practice as to what level you should divide, because it's very easy to keep dividing so the model is very clear, but all of a sudden your computer starts to lag because you've gone up too high, you've too big a poly count, and it's very hard for the computer, unless you have a ton of memory, to work there. For instance, ZBrush and Keyshot. Now we'll get to Keyshot later, or in some of my own personal practice videos. I am going to make a set of videos that show you how I work as a professional and my kind of day-to-day techniques for concept and character design. At the moment we'll stick to ZBrush, but when I get to Keyshot, both of those programs require CPU, not GPU. They were designed to use CPU. I made the mistake a long time ago of buying some extra video card for my Mac that was external. It turns out it was great for things like After Effects and Photoshop, but it did not work for ZBrush and Keyshot, which is the main reason I actually purchased it. And the reason being, these are CPU based programs. So if you have a good computer that has 16 gig RAM or 32, ZBrush should not be a problem, but you still want to work at a level that is quite easy. Okay, now, so I'm just using the clay build-up again, just practicing it there, kind of making almost a suit on him that's just going with the curvature of the body. Okay, so there he is, and again I'm just using my pen on the screen. Let's try some different tools. So we saw the hose tool, which was in here in IMM curves, and we can actually change that to different things. We can maybe put this mesh is composed of multiple subdivisions, so to delete my lower subdivisions, and now I can put some stuff, right? There we go. And that's kind of like scales, okay, which you'll use for making jewelry. I can bring up the brush size and maybe put some more on his back. There we go. Almost looks like armor. Put some on the shoulder and down to the front. It's going to come down the middle. And if I click anywhere, the path disappears. I'll put some on the arm. Doesn't quite work there. Maybe I'll put some just here on the front of the legs. You see? And I can press the move tool, angle it, and put it back onto the leg. Like that. Okay, so it's starting to actually looks kind of like some kind of futuristic soldier. Okay, so if he's looking like a futuristic soldier, why not we stick to that theme? That's the good, so much fun with ZBrush is you can just start to build things without kind of having a preconception. Okay, so I'll just work for another 2-3 minutes on this, and that using maybe a couple of Kitbash tools just to show you the use of those. Okay, so we've done that. I'm going to press Control, turn off my mask by selecting outside the model, so it's all on one subtool now. Okay, you can see there. So if I move him down, we're going to work around the head, rotate it a little bit, move it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a different Kitbash tool. So I have, let me see, where are my good Kitbash tools? Some things have moved since I used the last version of ZBrush. So I'm going to maybe put pieces coming out of his face and just go back to rotate, turn them, side, turn them, and pull them inwards. Remember, symmetry is still on, so I'll just fix them there. So actually make them bigger altogether and put them over the ear. Pull it in so it just comes off from the head just a little. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. I'll go back to draw. Maybe just remember to press draw, because if you select any other object while you're in move, scale, or rotate, it will change to that object. Now, so I'm going to go and find my, that was in, I think it was machine parts I used that time. So I'm going to go to Steam pump. Let's draw. So we can do the cheeks as well. Maybe move those two up so they're kind of in the eyes. Okay. Back to draw and grab maybe another red flag. Oh, that's kind of interesting. We put a couple more circles in there. I love to Kitbash like this and put some on there. You know what? If I go back to spaceship, I know exactly what I want to use, because the fun piece in spaceship that I can use actually make something like a breathing apparatus in its face. This one. Let me put this over the mouth. Okay. And then we just go to move. Now, when you go to move, scale, or rotate, you can actually just use all of them. We're just using the gizmo tool. There you go. Okay, and I think just to finish him off, because this video we're running out of time on this, I'm keeping all videos to under 15 minutes so that these are very easy to follow. We don't need 2-hour-long videos. We'll do it step by step using repetitive motions, the same tools, so you guys can get used to it. And the next stage is we're just going to put a couple of tubings coming out of the back of his head, very kind of matrix looking stuff. And we need our curves brush for that. Now, apologies for trying to find it on the new ZBrush 2020. Where is it? There you go. So I'm going to have my sphere here. I'm going to go to make sure I'm on draw, bring down my draw size a bit so I don't end up with these gigantic tools. I'm just going to put on the back of his head there. Ah, now look at that. Little bit of a glitch, and I accidentally flattened my object. See that? It kind of glitched on the screen. So this is what I showed you with another video. We've got a layer and clear and gets rid of it. Okay. And those tubes don't look right, so I'm going to go to subtool, split mask points. I might keep them for a different time. I just turn them off, so they're on a different subtool. I'll go back to my soldier. I'm just going to redraw a couple of tools coming out the back of his head. I'll go split again and rotate. Now I don't like where the angle point is at the end. I want it kind of in the middle. So if I turn off gizmo, use the transpose tool here and go slide along, and then put back on my gizmo. Now it's in the center, so I have more control for rotating. And I actually think if I turn it the other way, now it did that weird kind of breaking because I still have symmetry on. So if I turn off symmetry for a minute, I turn my whole object upside down. I'm going to connect it to the back of his head instead. So I need to turn on my transpose, get right back in the middle of that object so I have more control. And there it is. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that for now. There you go. And I'll continue this in the next video, creating some kind of concept shoulder out of the demo soldier.